Hello, everybody. How you doing? Uh, haven't done anything in a while. Um, lifetime, not a lifetime Bears fan. Actually, as a kid, for some reason, I liked the Baltimore Colts. Loved Johnny Unitas. I've loved football my whole life. Been a passionate football fan, and when the Bears got Walter Payton, I started liking them, and ever since Walter came around, I've been a lifetime fan, and I live and die with this team, which means that I've been dead since 1985. It's been when I think about that, when I think about 38 years since they won a Super Bowl, and the crap that I have seen for the most part, there have been some ups. There's been some really good teams and some great players, but good God, this organization, no matter what they do, no matter who they bring in to run it, it's just a train wreck. And I use the word train wreck a lot, and man, I mean it. So, you know, I'm also a Ohio State Buckeyes fan, and I do like drinking beer. Um, it has nothing to do with Buckeyes. But anyways, um, so I've been a Justin Fields fan from day one. I saw every one of his college games at Ohio State, and he was a great quarterback at Ohio State. And this year has been tough. Um, he has not been great. Uh, he has to take some of the blame because he's the guy throwing the ball. However, the staff, his coaching staff, when you hire a rookie head coach, maybe it's best that you hire some coordinators that have some, experience, so that they can help the head coach, uh, so that we don't have to go through these growing pains. Because right now, the two guys they have, Alan Williams and Luke Getzey, are horrendous. Well, maybe someday they could become pretty decent, but you know, right now they stink, especially Getzey. Getzey's terrible. Uh, but let's start out with. I was very excited about this year. I liked some of the moves they made. I wasn't crazy about not bringing in a real pass rusher. I know I forgot don't know how to pronounce his name, Ngakwe or whatever his name is. He's okay. He's okay, but I watched, you know, we always call him Gavin Floyd, but it's Leonard Floyd. Watch Leonard, and he's a much better player. I don't know why we didn't bring him in. We've got the money. Um, but the pass rush stinks. Um, the offensive line, we don't have a center. We don't have a guy that can snap the ball to the quarterback. Whitehair is probably the best, and he hurt his hand, so he can't snap. This Lucas Patrick stinks. He's terrible. He's a terrible blocker, and he can't snap the ball. And the guy that they brought in, don't even remember his name, he can't snap either. Um, so you know, I know they love these defensive tackles, but this John Michael Schmitz, the center for the Giants, was available. We should have taken somebody like him. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl player down the road. But that's that. There was excitement going into the season, and the first game sucked. It was horrible. It was horrific. The game plan was one of the worst game plans I've ever seen. You know, I think Matt Nagy was a horrible game planner, but Luke Getzey is taking it to amazing, amazing levels of just horrific. Um, I believe that they've got Fields throwing the ball and thinking sideline first and not thinking down the field. At Ohio State, and I know he had a great offensive line. I know he had all the time in the world. Hell, we didn't know he was a runner like this until he came to the Bears and had to run for his life. That's the only reason he is such. We found out he's a great runner is because he has to run for his life. But anyways, he was a downfield thrower, long passes. I mean, probably had at least 10, maybe more, long passes each of the 2 years for touchdowns that he was the quarterback for the Buckeyes. And again, he doesn't have the time. Maybe that's a possibility. But we've gone 2 games without throwing the ball on what they used to call a bomb. They haven't had one, 2 games. That's insane. Um, so I'm really obviously not a Luke Getzey fan, and They had two drives this past game uh, that were pretty good drives. The first drive of the game was great. Threw the ball down the field. Hit the open guy. Um, you know, ran the ball relatively well. The whole team. They gave him time to throw, and then we went. I think it was 6 series in a row with nothing because we changed everything. We stopped throwing the ball down the field. We run when we should pass. We pass when we should run. I know that's easy to say it, but I'm the type of guy that calls it before it happens, not after it happens. And if it's a good call, first thing I'll say is it's a good call. Way to go, Luke. You know, I'm not one of those guys that sees the play and says, oh well, we should have done this. It just doesn't work that way with me, anyways. Um, is Justin holding on to the ball too long? Yes, he is. But I believe they've got him so screwed up in the head that he just is not reacting anymore, and he's thinking too much. And I think that Eberflus has a conservative game plan on both sides of the ball. And while conservatism can work, it's not a recipe for victory. Mahomes is not a conservative quarterback. Josh Allen is not a conservative quarterback. And I know Josh Allen throws some picks, but you know what? Would we take him in Chicago right now? You're damn straight we would, because he would walk in and become the greatest quarterback in history just by walking in. Um, two passes to DJ Moore the first week. I mean, what is that? So, you know, we also didn't run with Justin enough this past week, and I don't want him to run 20 times a game. I don't want him to even get 1,000 yards. But he just, at this point, especially the last game, he isn't even thinking run. He's holding. So something has gotten into his head that says don't run. It's very frustrating to watch a kid that I know that if he left Chicago, the White Sox are losing 4-2, sorry. If he left Chicago this year or next year, I believe with the right organization, he could be a superstar. We saw C.J. Stroud throw for 384 yards, and I'm a big C.J. fan because, of course, he's a former Buckeye. And I'm telling you, as a Buckeye fan, C.J. Stroud isn't half the quarterback that Justin Fields is. He isn't half the thrower that Justin Fields is. He doesn't have the long touch that Justin Fields does. And I think C.J. is going to be a really good quarterback. I hope he is. It's very hard to watch somebody that you see greatness in be destroyed by an organization. It's my firm belief that, had we not traded up to get Trubisky, who I think is a great kid, but just isn't a natural quarterback. He just doesn't get the position. If we had taken Mahomes would have been gone. He would have been, not Mitch bad, obviously, because he's a better quarterback, but Nagy would have ruined him. And if he had made it through Nagy and was still here, then Eberflus would have ruined him, and Getsy. There's something about this organization. Think about it. I saw Jim McMahon play. He was a very good quarterback, great quarterback in college, very good professional quarterback, and he got beat up. In fact, I got to play softball with Jim. He was one of the best 16-inch players who had never played the game that I'd ever seen before. He was a natural athlete. He was a decent guy, but he was a really good quarterback. So in my lifetime, I've seen one really good quarterback. I'm 63 years old. One good quarterback in 63 years. The Packers have had three Hall of Famers? Two Hall of Famers. They've had two Hall of Famers back to back who lasted 15 years, 17, whatever it was. Bart Starr was a great quarterback. So in my lifetime, they've had three Hall of Fame quarterbacks. We've had one really good quarterback. Okay? I wasn't around to see Sid Luck then. My dad was. And, my dad told me how good he was, but it was a different game, obviously. In fact, my dad's catcher in 16-inch softball was Bobby Luckman, who was Sid's kid. And I got to play against 12-inch against Bobby's kid. So there's a little, Luckman kind of trivia or whatever. But anyways, we haven't had a lot of great quarterbacks here. But they also haven't had a lot of help. I mean, offensive lines. The 85 Bears offensive line was phenomenal because you had 2 first-round tackles, and the rest of the line were all draft choices. Um, some of the offensive linemen, later on were pretty good. But since 2009, we haven't had a good offensive line. That's 14 years. How is that possible? Well, I'll tell you how it's possible, because you draft like crap. And you don't draft great offensive linemen, you know, forever, until finally we drafted a kid this year. And I like this kid. I think he's going to be a pretty good player. I like Darnell. I think Darnell's going to be pretty solid. Um, the rest of the offensive line, not crazy about it. Cody Whitehair, he's okay. He was a really good player for a while, but he's just okay now. And maybe not even that good. Nate Davis, I know he's going through some personal stuff, but, missed a lot of practices for Tennessee, and we still brought him in. Like I said, Lucas Patrick is garbage. He's trash. It's really Braxton Jones. He's a young player. We're going to give him a chance. Has not had a good year this year. And left tackle is obviously the hardest offensive line position to play. We never keep tight end in to help block. That makes no sense. Why do we bring in Mercedes Lewis if he's not going to play and he's not going to help block? That's supposed to be one of the best blocking tight ends, and he catches the ball. And he's a big guy. He's a big target. It's, you look at Green Bay's offensive success, and it's obvious that LaFleur has been calling the plays for the last couple of years, because, look at the head coach that is with the Jets now. He was the head coach, and now he's the offensive coordinator. He stunk as a head coach last year. I don't know how good of an offensive coordinator he is this year, but he's still learning on the job. And Luke Getsy, again, maybe someday he could be a good offensive coordinator, but he's horrible right now. I mean, for the love of God, he makes Matt Nagy look decent, and Matt Nagy stinks. It's a terrible offensive coordinator. I mean, he screwed up the Chiefs' first game, and he'll eventually. Andy Reid is a smart guy. Well, then again, he hired Matt Nagy, so maybe he's not that smart. Andy will eventually replace him and take over the play calling, because Nagy will screw things up. He's horrible. It's just terrible. So let's get back to Justin. I'm not a professional offensive coordinator, but we need to throw the ball down the field. We're 0-2 now. We're playing the Chiefs. We're about to go 0-3. So we're not making the playoffs. So let's fix the quarterback. Let's throw the ball down the field. I would rather he has a game like Josh Allen did his first game, where he threw 3 picks and some really bad picks, but was aggressive. I'd rather Justin did that and learned, what to do, what not to do when throwing the ball down the field, than these rinky-dink side passes and like the little screen pass for the pick six that the Buccaneers knew it was coming. Everybody knows it's coming. Hell, you put Velus in the game, the stands, everybody in the stands knows Velus is going to get the ball on some little, sweep thing. I mean, for the love of God, fake it. Cut him. I mean, he just, it's hard to watch this stuff. And I'm not the only one. I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know that Bear fans out there just are fed up. And we don't see light at the end of the tunnel. What's going to change? They're going to be conservative again against the Chiefs, even though they're probably 14-point underdogs. They'll be conservative the following week. They'll be conservative the following week, and so on and so forth. And it's just, It's just not the way that you're going to win. You're just not going to win that way. And this kid's not going to get better. They're going to destroy him. They're going to ruin him. He's too good of a talent, in my opinion. I may be wrong. He may prove me wrong. He may end up being a bust. I don't think so. I don't see it. He's got everything. He's got the legs. He's a smart kid. He's a great athlete. He's got a great arm. He used to be ranked with Trevor Lawrence. They're about the same age, and they always were in all these all-star games and competitions, and they were always head-to-head with each other. So there's no reason he can't be as good as Trevor. So I'm hoping that something happens that you know snaps Luke Getzey out of this trance, or really they need to get rid of him. But that's not going to happen. That's not the Bears' way. Bears don't like to fire people. They like to bring in good people that have great morals, and there's nothing wrong with that stuff. But Christ, if we could get an asshole that would help us win a game or two, I would take that. I mean, it's very hard to watch. It's been a rough bunch of years since, what was it, 08 they were in the Super Bowl last? That's 15 years ago. 15 years! And what's going to change? It seems like we're making the same types of moves. We hire a cheap head coach who hires cheap coordinators who have never coordinated before, and they're all learning on the job, and they're screwing up, quarterbacks, and it's just I'm hoping that things get better. I think this team has some talent. I hope that we blitz this week. I know that with Alan Williams out, that Eberflus was blitzed a little bit. I thought the defense played better. Um, I'll be doing this from time to time, and maybe I'll do this every week. I hope you people enjoy this. Here's to the Bears beating the Chiefs this week. Good luck with that. And we'll see you down the road. I'm Dave Cohen. Take it easy.